Alright, good morning people at YouTube. So this time we are back again today with a fan favorite deck, and one of the decks that everybody is most excited for going into the Bt8 meta. This is going to be Armor Rush. So Veemon fans rejoice. We have two very viable Veemon decks this format, this being one of them. So this deck is a very strong contender into the meta. Its only problem is that it has a hard matchup into Imperial Digimon. And given that that deck just came out, and there's recency bias, and everybody wants to play Imperial Digimon right now, plus that deck's just really good, this deck may struggle coming into the Bt8 meta, but there are some adaptations you can make and basically help put Imperial in its place. And this is a deck that if you can just outspeed them, you can get the edge. So this is a deck that focuses on going fast, hitting hard, and having bodies that just stick to the board. So if you guys like this kind of content, make sure you guys like and subscribe, and without further ado, we will get into the deck profile. So the only egg you need in this list is Upamon. You will be winning by the time you hit your 5th egg, so you only need to play 4. And this is the best egg you can play in this list because it will draw you some extra cards sometimes. And drawing cards in blue is the name of the game. So going in the rookies, we just play a bunch of Veemon. We got 4 copies of the jamming one. This is absolutely essential. We'll go into some of the combos with this card at the end of the deck profile. But this card is much better in this list than it is in Imperial because of the jamming and because you have access to Fire Rocket. So the main reason you play 4 of this card is because it combos very well with Flame Digimon and Fire Rocket. So the rest of the Veemons are going to be 3 ofs. We got 3 copies of the Veemon from the Lv4 stack. This is here to help draw some cards early game, and even mid game, because we are blowing through cards in our hand like Fire Rocket and Hammer Spark. So this card is actually live more than you'd think it would be. We play 3 copies of the EX1 Veemon. This is probably the second most important Veemon in the list, and because of the inheritable gain of memory whenever you unsuspend. This card triggers very nicely with Davis Ken, because you can swing with an armor. That armor, let's say it dies to security, right? So then it goes back down to being a Veemon. You can evolve it into something like a Magnamon, and make that Magnamon only cost 2. You can combo this card with Armor Texture, and make Armor Texture the evolution off of that cost 1 less. This is just a very good card. It combos with the one of Paildramon in the list. The EX1 Veemon is just absolutely essential. It's just, you sometimes want to see Veemons that draw you cards or have benefits whenever you play them. And that's the only reason I'm not maxing this card out. So for the rest of the Veemons, we got 3 copies of the Bt8 Veemon and 3 copies of the Starter Deck 9 Veemon. Starter Deck 9 Veemon will grab anything with free. This includes all of your armor cards. This includes Paildramon. This includes all of your other Veemon. And this Veemon can grab any 2-colored card. So this includes your armors, Paildramon, but it also includes Davis Ken, as well as Megadeth. So sometimes this is more important. Sometimes you also want to be able to hit a rookie in your cards. So I do like both of these, and I do value them both. And, yeah, between these cards, that rounds it out for my rookie lineup. It's just a bunch of Veemon, and it's very important so that we can go into the armors for cheaper. So going into the armors, we got 4 copies of Flame Digimon, 4 copies of Ray Digimon, and 4 copies of Magnamon. So these are your standard armors that you're going to be playing in this list. Ray Digimon is really good for, just controlling tempo in the early to mid game. This also sets off Davis Ken. Like, if you evolve into this in the raising area and then promote, then you have a blue and a green card in play, so that you gain the double memory off of Davis and Ken, then that's really nice. Flame Digimon is your main attacker. If you swing into security and give yourself a 3,000 buff, and let's say you go down to security right then and there, your Veemon keeps the 3,000 buff. So if you evolve the Veemon into another armor and then tap Davis Ken, and then you get to unsuspend the Digimon, you will keep the 3,000, then get to swing with it again. So you can do that to stack Flamedramon buffs and get really, really large. You can do that to make a big Magnamon. And there's a lot of things you can do with this. But yeah, the Flamedramon is absolutely essential, and it's going to be your main attacker. Magnamon, on the other hand, is your main defender. This is a really good card to end your turn on. It has the Armor Purge blocker, so that's really nice. It can help ensure that you live and keep a body in play, but the main thing about this card is it gets absolutely enormous. Magnamon gains 2,000 DP for every armor in your trash whenever you evolve into it until the end of your opponent's next turn. And that just makes this card super big. So yeah, these are your main cards in the deck. Your main attackers, the main cards you're going to be swinging with, and the main cards you're going to be gaining value with. Armor Purge is a really, really great mechanic because being able to swing and just having some ability to stick to the board, or just being able to put up a bunch of cards that your opponent potentially has to deal with twice, is a really, really great offensive and defensive option. So I do really like what these cards provide for the deck. The last level 4s that I'm playing is I'm playing a 1 of Stingmon and a 1 of Lobomon. So the hybrid is kind of crucial. If you're set to 3 with your Davis, or you go to 5 off your Davis Ken, you have the potential to make a play, still be able to have 2 memory, so that you can evolve a Tamer into a hybrid, and then potentially swing with the hybrid for lethal. But these cards also help facilitate really, really cool jogress plays. Like if I swing with Flamedramon and Flamedramon gets enormous and it lives the security check, then I can hard play Stingmon for 3 and go into a Pyildramon and get a double swing. Or I can evolve a Tamer into my Lobomon and then swing with Lobomon and then potentially evolve into the Chimeramon and get a sweet double swing that way. So I do really like these cards. Stingmon will also let you draw more cards and just be a cheap body that you can just play for 3 memory. Also, Stingmon helps make Megadeth more live, and sometimes being able to resolve Megadeth is how you win the Imperial Dramon matchup. So I do really, really like this level 4 lineup. I don't think I'd go up on the hybrid count just because there aren't too many times I want to evolve on top of my Tamers unless I'm going for a jogress play or I'm going for game. And the Stingmon is nice as a 1 of. I could see myself bumping it up to 2, but I really like it as just the spicy 1 of tech. And yeah, that's it for the level 4s that I play. The level 5 lineup is also pretty simple. I have a Pyildra and a Chimeramon. I think you should play at least 1 Chimeramon in any list that can make this card hit 4 colors. The ability to just minus 4k to a lot of your opponent's Digimon and then just hit 12,000 is just massive. And then the Pyildramon being able to double swing a lot can help you provide extra tempo. It can help bounce things in the mirror match and against Mastamon. So these are really, really good cards. If you put a Magna Angemon at the bottom of your opponent's deck with Pyildramon, your opponent gets really, really sad because they can't recur it with Flaming Hell Scythe at that point. So I do really like these cards. I don't think I'd bump either of them up to 2. I think 2 Jogress cards is the perfect number in this deck, and I really like the versatility of each of these. I don't think I'd see myself playing 2 of 1 over the other. I think the 1-in-1 split is really, really cool in this list, and something that provides a lot of flexibility, especially in a best of 3, whenever your opponent, sees the Chimera maybe game 1 and they don't see the Pyildra, and they know to try to play around Chimera, so they start putting like 6,000s in play, knowing that you can't DP reduce them all, and then you go into Pyildramon, spin something at the bottom of their deck, and then swing over 2 of their cards. So I do like the versatility and the flexibility that these cards have, and they've been definitely pulling their weight. So going into the Tamers, I have 3 copies of Davis and 3 copies of Davis Ken. So I tried the 2 Davis and the 4 Davis Ken that I saw a lot of people playing, and I didn't really like it. I found myself wanting to see my memory tamer all the time. So playing only 2 Davis did not really sit well with me. And also, there were a lot of times that Davis Ken kept clogging my hand. So there were times that I was just sitting on 2 or more of these, and I could play them, but the games that I was losing were the games that I had multiples of these and nothing to do with them. So while this is a very, very powerful card, I think 3 is the perfect ratio. You use this card to gain just a crap ton of memory at the beginning of your main phase, and also to swing with an armor. Let's say it dies. You evolve into another armor, suspend this card. That armor unsuspends. You swing with that armor. That armor dies. You tap another one of these as you evolve it to another armor, and then swing with that armor again. And it keeps your aggression going. So it is a very, very important card for the list to play. However, I think this is the perfect ratio for me specifically. I do really like this Tamer lineup. Now, closing off the deck, we have the options. I have the obligatory 4 Hammer Spark. This card is just nuts. It's a combo extender, and this is a combo-oriented deck, so you should be playing at least 3 of these. I would see the argument for cutting 1, but it's not a very good argument, to tell you the truth. You should try to play as many copies of this card as you can in this deck, because you need to be hitting as many times as you can, and in order to do that, you need as much memory as possible. We got the obligatory 1 of Ice Wall, because it's such a good card. We got 2 copies of Megadeth, and 1 copy of Plasma Shot as the removal. So I see a lot of people cutting the Plasma Shot and playing 3 Megadeth. I do agree with that. Megadeth is more important in the Imperial matchup. However, it feels like Plasma Shot is kind of better against everything else. I really like this card, and as a one-of, it's definitely been pulling its weight. If you drop this card mid-game and just clear your opponent's board, it will often win you the game, and I do really like this card. There have been times that I've hit this in security, and I've lost to it, so it feels good when my opponent hits this in security and they lose to it. That's kind of my logic there. Megadeth is super important for dealing with X-Antibody and Imperial, and this card is more better for dealing with decks like Mastamon in the mirror match. So I do think both Megadeth and Plasma Shot have their place. But if you only have room for 3, I think Megadeth should be the one that you include more copies of, because your weakest matchup is still Imperial. So the rest of the list is, we're down to 4 cards. I play a single copy of Armor Texture and 3 Fire Rocket. So most people would be playing 2 or possibly even 3 Armor Texture. It just wasn't floating that well with me. It's a good card, but the fact that you have to keep paying memory to evolve into it to activate multiple in a turn didn't really work for what I wanted it to do. So if you see the 1, then you kind of sit on it until you're trying to make your game-winning play. But typically, you won't have enough memory to activate multiple copies of these in a turn. Or you won't be in a position where you swing with your armor and then it survives, and then you get to Armor Texture. So I do think the Davis Ken is just a more important combo extender than this card, but I do think this card is still good. I think you should include the 1 of. But yeah, it's a good card. I just don't want to play 2 of it like everybody else. Instead, I'd rather play 3 copies of Fire Rocket. You should be playing as many copies of this card as possible, because if you played in hybrid format, this is basically Atomic Inferno. You just give any of your armor Digimon security attack +1 and make them hit harder. And there's a really, really cool combo that you can do. Like, let's say you have your Flame Dramon and it has the Veemon under it, right? The Veemon with jamming. So you're swinging into security, you're going at 8,000, and you have a fire rocket activated. So now this is an 8,000 security attack +1. Let's say you die against the first security, right? So typically in this situation, when your level 4 swings into security and it dies, you wouldn't get the second check. But since you're an armor Digimon, you now purge. You are now swinging the second check with this Veemon. So this Veemon is now a 5,000 with jamming, and it's guaranteed to live that second check because of the jamming. Likewise, if you had multiple fire rockets active, let's say you activated all 3 on this Flame Dramon, that's swinging, right? And so it's at 8,000 security attack +3. It dies to the first check. Well, now this Veemon is swinging as a 5,000 security attack +2. So with the jamming Veemon, you can guarantee that your fire rockets check everything that they're intended to. And I really, really like that. That's one of the reasons why this is a mandatory 4 of. But, yeah, that's about all I have to say about this list. There's kind of a lot going on. There's a lot of different colors and a lot of different things you can do. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this longer kind of deck profile. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And we will see you guys in the next video. Bye, everyone.